Yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and share, history with y'all. Clayton Kershaw's 3,000th strikeout. We got it on video right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen.
Nice.
Drive into left. At the wall. It's gone. Tie
Hey
game.
everybody, welcome back to the Throwing Partners podcast. It's Kirby, Joe, and Nate here. It's been about a month since we just did a podcast, and we are back. So I'm very excited about it. We are going to talk about our teams a little bit and maybe a little bit around the league. Joe, I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to tell us about the Astros in the past month.
I mean, there's a lot to there's a lot to tell. I mean, since the last time we potted, due to technical difficulties on Kirby's end,
Sorry.
the Astros have basically turned their season completely around. They've been piecemealing together a pitching staff that has been absolutely dominant, outside of Lance McCullers Jr. And that they have a bullpen that is absolutely lights out. They just got done with a phenomenal homestand. They went 5-1 against the Cubs and the Phillies, uh, two of the better teams in the NL. And yeah, they're doing that without Yordan Alvarez, who may or may not be out for the year. We still haven't gotten news from him, but I believe the last time we actually talked, we had discovered that he had a hand fracture, if even that. I really do not remember what the last thing we talked about is, but uh, Alvarez had a hand fracture, and they let him hit on the field with a hand fracture. And then after hitting on the field on his way from recovering from a hand strain, he was like, "Hey, I feel discomfort," and they got imaging redone, and he had a fracture in his hand. Well, about a month later, which was a couple days ago, uh, he again hit on the field at Minute Maid, went to Florida, took live ABs. Next day, felt discomfort, is now set back again. So we're not really sure where we're at when it comes to timeline for Jordan's return. Um, but nevertheless, the Astros have been absolutely dominating, even without him. It's kind of deja vu from the Kyle Tucker thing last year, where the medical staff had no idea what they were doing with Kyle Tucker's injury. He was running on a broken leg within like a week. Um, and it's not a good look, really, especially when you consider the fact that they've had these two debacles with two, MVP type players, and they have failed to bring a pitcher back from Tommy John within a year, for the last like 3 years. Lance McCullers Jr. had 2 years worth of setbacks. It's been 2 years since Luis Garcia last pitched. He still hasn't returned. He had another setback. Christian Javier is progressing as of right now, and I'm really excited for him, but cautiously optimistic because Lord only knows he might have a setback. Um, Spencer Arrighetti was only supposed to be out like 4 to 6 weeks, and he's starting his throwing progressions, but he's not really where you would like to see him be at. So the training staff has been really confusing. And we just got news that Jeremy Pena has a broken rib, which at first they just called a bruised rib, and then 2 days later was like, maybe we should do some imaging on this, and it turns out he has a small fracture. It's been a shit show, to say the least, when it comes to the Astros handling of injuries. But I do
That's
have
not
good
good.
news: is that their medical staff is actually starting to have press releases, so they're a little more transparent with the public as to what the players' progressions are. So we don't have to keep wondering. We're kind of, given more of an insight. But it's still really frustrating the fact that their return to play policy hasn't changed, even though James Click, before he was fired, was bringing up the fact that they needed to update their return to play policy because they rushed Jake Myers back. Uh, it's something that hasn't been addressed in 3 years, and it's really frustrating because it's continued to be a problem since that Jake Myers mishap. And while the Astros had the least amount of players on the IL for the least amount of time in 2022, I feel like ever since then, it's just gotten worse. And there hasn't been much turnover from the medical staff, but something has happened to where we're just playing fast and loose with these players. And that's not good for business because you have a guy like Kyle Tucker who's out. He's a star player. He puts butts in seats. You have a guy like Yordan Alvarez who also puts butts in seats out for an extended period of time because you can't figure out what's wrong with his hand. You're also shortening up his timeline if the first thing you didn't do was take him to a hand specialist. Someone who has had hand injuries before in the past, and you don't automatically take him to a hand specialist after complaining about hand pain is kind of just baffling to me. And it you're basically you've put him on a timeline where he has the potential to not play again this season, and that's something else I'm going to talk about later. Is what their plan of attack at the trade deadline is, but it's just really frustrating that this has been a reoccurring thing for the last like 3 years at this point. So while the Astros have been playing good, those are some things that I do have complaints about. Um, the Astros have been absolutely dominant even without him, and that's really where I was going. The bullpen has been, going berserk. They do not allow very many runs. The starting pitching staff has been led by Hunter Brown and Framber Valdez, who are both in, contention for Cy Young. I do believe that Hunter Brown is the front runner for the Cy Young. I believe he is currently the best pitcher on the planet. Um, and you can argue with the wall all you want, Nate. Um, that's just that. But they've been doing this all, with the injuries that they've sustained. They don't have JP France, they don't have Christian Javier, they don't have Renel Blanco, they don't have Hayden Wisniewski. Let's see, they don't have Luis Garcia. Lance McCullers Jr. has been one of the worst pitchers on the planet. And he's still is had a sprained ankle in the middle of all of this. They're throwing the Colton Gordons, the Ryan Gustos, the Brandon Walters of the world out, and they're still really effective. So it's been really fascinating to see, and I think a lot of that has to do with the resurgence of Jeremy Pena. Kind of Jake Myers really stepping up to the plate, and being a top producer for this team. Victor Caratini as well. He's been huge. Yainer Diaz, since having a very rough month and a half start of the season, is finally starting to show signs again. Jose Altuve had another rough month where, I think the last time we talked, I was talking about how bad he had been. He's, been better as of late. Still a little bit inconsistent, but, that comes with age. Cam Smith, man, I cannot rave enough about Cam Smith and Isak Paredes. Both of them have been absolute dogs for this team so far. Isak Paredes absolutely mashes in Minute Maid. And, he's the type of player that I had been saying for years the Astros need to go get. Someone who profiles as a good hitter in Minute Maid. They just never went after they've never gone after players in free agency on the trade market that have good stats inside of Minute Maid. And it always baffled me because why would you not set yourself up for success and getting players and targeting players that profile well in your home ballpark where you play 82 of your games? It didn't make sense to me. But him and Cam Smith have been an absolute godsend. Cam Smith should absolutely be a front runner for Rookie of the Year over Jacob Wilson because he is producing in the clutch. Not only he's one of the best clutch hitters in the league, he's also top 20 in WRC plus, and he's playing Gold Glove level right field for someone that's been playing right field for about 3 months now. And he's doing this on a first place team, and he's currently hitting, he had been hitting in the 4 hole. I believe today he's hitting fifth, over the last 2 weeks. And can't imagine that he won't be hitting fourth or fifth, um, more often while Jeremy Pena is out. And the Astros continue to win with him there. So I have nothing but good things to say about Paredes, Myers, Altuve, Yiner, Pena, but the bottom half of the lineup gets really iffy if Victor Caratini is not playing, and Christian Walker is a big part of that because Christian Walker has been one of the biggest letdowns, um, in a while. I guess since Jose Abreu, there's got to be like a first base curse where it, Yuli gave them ojos or something, where Yuli was like, "Screw y'all, I'm the first baseman of the Astros," and he has cursed that position because you had Trey Mancini, you had Jose Abreu, and now you have Christian Walker all stepping into those positions and not being able to produce. It's absurd because while there were signs of Jose Abreu's decline, you really did not see it coming that hard. And Christian Walker over the last 2 years has only gotten better. There was really no sign of decline, and the fact that he has declined this much has been astonishing. So I really hope that the All-Star break coming up here in a little while is a good reset for him, a good mental reset, because you can see it in his demeanor every time he comes off the field after an at bat where he does not produce it. He looks like he is pressing. He just needs to relax, take a step back, reset, and I still believe in him. He's still playing Gold Glove caliber defense at first base, but I mean he needs a reset at the plate. Um, so outside of that, I really have nothing to complain about. But the Astros do have some needs at the trade deadline, and I don't know if they have the assets to get them. They need a left-handed bat. They are a very right-handed heavy lineup, and with Yordan Alvarez being out, Victor Caratini, who is a switch hitter, is the only left-handed bat that they really have. So they need to absolutely target a left-handed hitter when it comes time for the deadline. Who that is, I have no idea. Who they give up, they will probably have to give up like Chas McCormick to shed some salary because Crane absolutely wants to stay under the luxury tax. And I get it. I think they can make it work. I think if Dana Brown finds the right price, he will make a move that makes sense and will help the team. But they went out and re-signed John Singleton to a minor league deal. That kind of tells me that he's their fallback plan. If they're not able to, and that's a little disappointing. I don't mind them preparing for the worst, but if that's your contingency, then that's a little worrisome. Yeah, I mean I understand why they want to stay under the luxury tax. They want to stay under the luxury tax because next year they have a lot of payroll coming off the books. It will really open them up to definitely extend the window, especially if they go to the World Series this year. They go to the CS this year. They have the money. They will have the money off the books to, if Jim Crane really wants to go crazy, sign Kyle Tucker to a massive deal because that's how much money they actually have coming off the books. Or target Bregman, move Isak to second base. They really have that much money coming off the books. So I can understand why they want to stay under the luxury tax. I get it. It kind of sucks because you never know when you're going to get another pitching staff like this. And speaking from 2022, where I was so down on that 2022 Astros team because of the offense, when it didn't really even matter because the pitching was just so good that it really didn't matter, and the offense just turned it on at the right time. So all that to say, the trade deadline is coming up. I hope the Astros do get a left-handed bat to kind of help the offense a little bit more. But with this pitching staff, it might not even matter because they are just that good at preventing runs. They're the third best team in the league as of right now. I have nothing to complain about outside of the way that they handle injuries. And that's my Astros update.
Well, Joe, I think there's two things that I want to say. First of all, that's why they call it practicing medicine at Houston Methodist instead of leading medicine. because they are definitely practicing right now because they're not leading nothing and being professional about anything. And then second, Cam Smith might be like one of the top 5 most athletic dudes in the whole league. He's got a cannon front arm. He's got great pop, and not to mention this dude runs like a gazelle. That was a Dana Brown win in trading for Cam Smith because he has 1,000% done everything that you could have asked from him and more. So I have full faith that Dana Brown is going to take care of the Astros and whatever they may need. Nathan, let's hear from you about the Tigers, the Gritty Tigs.
Yeah. I'm going to be pulling a lot of parallels to what Joe had for his team update because I think the Astros and the Tigers, in a lot of ways, share similar issues. But I'm not a negative Nancy. Let's start out with the good stuff. So since our last pod, I have taken down our team record. We're 20-13. We are statistically terrible in June. And I had to look this up because I remember this being such an issue over the last 5-6 years. So this year in June, we were May and June. May we were 19-9. June we were 15-11. So a little bit of a step back. But we had a lot more. I think we had a lot more tests, including the Cubs. But last year in June, we were 10-17. 23, we are 9-18. 2022, 10-15. So, like I mentioned, June is usually not the month for the Tigers. But 2025, we beat the allegations. Hallelujah. So in the time since we have last podcast, we've had several series wins. The Giants, before Devers, we swept them. We took a series win against the Royals. And like the Astros, we took a series win against the Cubs. I think that's correct, right? You guys took 2 or 3?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yep. Some smaller, not as high-profile series wins. Pittsburgh, including Skeens. The A's, including Severino, which... and Minnesota. So, who really won the Carlos Correa signing there? So, anyways. Here's what I'll say so far. I have team eye tests here. Our offense has been incredible. I think we're still riding on vibes. We're still having a guy's hit for the next guy. I think we're one of the best teams when it comes to walk rate. I think we still deal pretty badly with strikeouts, but I think in general we are more selective. And then when we are that selective, obviously they're going to pitch more strikes. And then on top of that, I think that when they start throwing more strikes, we are more aggressive with swinging the bat. Like I mentioned earlier today, Riley Green hit 2 3-run homers in the first game of the doubleheader. Today, in the first inning of the first game, we scored 6 runs. So, granted, it's the Washington Nationals. James Wood is about the James Wood and Mackenzie Gore are your stars there, but after that, like, that's what you should be doing to a team, right? So evidently, to me, the offense is doing exactly what it should be doing, and we're going to see if that's still sustainable. Because, like we said, Javi Baez is in the All-Star game for God knows whatever reason, whatever his career resurgence is a result of. We don't know. Our pitching has been kind of a crutch for us, so this is one of the ones where I think the parallels between the Astros and the Tigers are really going to come out. We are not losing a ton of pitchers to injury. We're kind of losing a bunch of pitchers, mostly bullpen pitchers, because they kind of suck. As everybody knows, last year we were known for the pitching chaos. So the bullpen games, the pulling pitchers to have it advantageous matchups, so on and so forth. This year, they're still working with that in certain aspects. I've noticed that Hinch is more free with Skubal. He's more free with Flaherty. He's more free with Casey Mize because Casey Mize, also another guy who's finally starting to put some numbers down, especially for being a first pick. I thought we were looking at another Dallas Braden. We'll see what happens with the rest of them. Matt Manning. But in the month of June, we've sent 3 or 4 guys in our bullpen down to the minors. And on top of the injuries that we had to position players, honestly, AAA Toledo was looking more like quadruple A to us. And honestly, it still does. Andy Banez, the Astros should know him real well. He did something real good in the playoffs last year. I can't exactly remember. He's down in AAA now. We have Akil Badu. He's been back and forth to AAA to the bigs. He's a journeyman guy. He's stuck in quadruple A. We're looking at Jace Jung. Jace Jung started the year with us, and he's been down in AAA because he just can't figure his swing out. So those are specifically hitters, but we've had guys like Bo Breesky go down. They started the year sending our closer down from last year, and we're just kind of playing dominoes with the AAA bullpen and saying, okay, who's going to stick? I mean, so far, our reliable ones are Chase Lee. He's Will Will Vest. Tommy Canely are pretty much, yeah. I mean, those 3 guys are pretty much, at least from my eye test, are the only ones that we could put in a game and go, okay, I think we're going to be all right. Dietrich Enns came up 2 weeks ago, I think, and he's been good so far. I won't complain about him. He threw 5 innings of 1-hit ball, I believe it was, in his debut. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm not going to touch him, but let me rip into some of these other guys. Jack Flaherty. Jack was incredible to start the year last year, and obviously we used him as a good trade piece to get Sweeney and Tehran Liranzo. He's our catcher in Double A right now. He has been hit or miss this year. We either see 2019 Cardinals Jack Flaherty or we see every other year of his freaking career. And that just kind of varies start to start. So as much as I wanted that signing to happen, I don't know if it's paying off right now. And our bullpen guys in a lot of the games that we either have a heavy bullpen need or a bullpen game. Tyler Holton, Brennan Hanafy, Brant Herter, those guys last year, they were so pivotal to us, including Bo Breesky. I'll even throw Bo Breesky in here right now. They just plain stink right now. They are just not good. Tyler Holton's been the opener for several games in June, and he just gets blown up. And I don't know if it's just overuse or if it can't be that Hinch is just looking at bad matchups, because he's the king of putting together good matchups. So I don't know if they're injured, they're nursing some sort of injury, they're having some sort of mechanical breakdown. They just stink. And literally, we have been relying on, as you said it, Kirby, Will Vest, Tarek Skubal, Casey Mize, and Tommy Canely. Like, literally, those 4 guys come into a game, and, well, I mean, you're not going to have Casey Mize and Skubal come into the same game, but you know what I mean. Like, they come into a game, and they're going to win most of the time. So, my big concern there is we need to go out and buy people. We need to go out and buy arms because we're in detrimental territory here in the bullpen. I don't think if we continue without any moves at this rate, this bullpen is not putting us through the playoffs. We're going to need Skubal to pitch 9 innings every game. And that scares the shit out of me. Because we went from having one of the best bullpens at the end of last year and the start of this year to now it seems like you can't put a reliever in without him getting blown up. So that kind of leads me into the trade deadline. We need to buy pitchers. If that's a starter, if that's a reliever, maybe both. I would love to have both. Kirby, we talked about it earlier. I would love to take Strider off your guys' hands. I mean, maybe even if that costs us Kevin McGonigal. I don't know.
We're going to talk about that in a minute.
We need another bat because, like I said, we don't have a real. Besides Riley Green, Riley Green's kind of changed my outlook here. We don't have like a real hitting superstar. Like we have a bunch of guys who hit well, and they're just putting together timely hits. Like we don't have a guy out here like Jordan, like you have Joe or Arani. Like Riley Green is on the cusp there. He's on the cusp. He's like doggy paddling at the surface, just above the water. Like we need him to jump out of the water, and he's right there. But obviously, Joe, you know it. Kirby, you know it. I want my team to win this year, and there's no better look for the Tigers than this year. So we need to go out and buy guys. And that's what I got. We're looking good. We're still chugging forward, but if we don't do something serious this month, like I have high worries for September and October. So.
Well, I'm sure glad that you guys are in buy now mode because we're at either hold or sell the pieces that we got mode.
Yeah.
As you guys know, we started off the year at a blistering 0-7 out on the West Coast, which just set us off in a horrible way. We even got down to 1-9 on the year to start, which I'm not really even sure how you have a 1-9 stretch in Major League Baseball. But needless to say, since then, they have literally played 500 baseball. No better, no worse, just 500 ball. Okay, and that has come with its really highs and its really lows. Because at one point they did get above 500, not for long, but they did get above it. And now they're sitting once again right at 7 games under 500, because they started out 7 games in the hole. So anyway, the pitching staff is what everybody really started off the year being worried about because nothing was really done to improve it. However, let me just share some things with you. First of all, this pitching staff right now is a top 10 pitching staff in the league. Okay, they have the 5th most quality starts in all of baseball. Okay, with I think 39. Well, as of yesterday. Okay, so they had 39 quality starts. They only had 38 wins. Well, what does that tell you? That means that every quality start that they haven't won that game. Well, what does that also tell you? Well, that also tells you that the offense sucks. You've had 4 guys that have had absolutely putrid, and I mean terrible, offensive years. Ozzie Albies, horrible. Michael Harris II, Horrible. He actually got benched 2 games because of it, which I think helped because he got a hit yesterday and he got 2 today. Marcell Ozuna, terrible. Started off great, has a hip tear, not doing great now. Austin Riley, highest paid guy on the team, terrible. When those 4 guys who are supposed to be like part of like your core guys that are going to play every day, and that's what they do. The Braves play every day. That's their mentality. When those guys suck, the offense sucks because Ronnie and Matt Olson can only do so much. Now, granted, Ronald has been fantastic. Matt Olson is at his career norms, just like normal. He's usually an 850 OPS guy. He's going to give you 30 and 100 every year, and guess what? He's on pace to do that. But when the other 4 are not doing anything, and then you had Profar who got suspended, there's not a lot of hope. And we're just at the point now where it's not like you need to have a major sell and completely dismantle the team because ultimately these guys can still be good. However, there do need to be some changes that need to be made. First of all, for 3 years now, you have had the problem of not having a really quality shortstop. You had Orlando Arcia, who made the All-Star team in 2023, but then had a horrible second half. He was horrible at the plate last year. This year, you have Gold Glover Nick Allen playing there, but he's not giving you any offense. My one takeaway that the Braves should do is I don't think that they should sell by any means, but I think that they need to retool, and I think that they need to go out and try to get some pieces for the future. Marcell Ozuna can go. I don't know what he's even worth right now because he's been awful the last 6 to 8 weeks. He claims it's not the hip, but when your numbers are below the Mendoza line, I'm going to say that it's probably the hip has something to do with it. So I would probably trade Ozuna. I would try to trade off some bullpen guys. And then honestly, I would probably try to trade off a starter. If we're not going for a postseason run. You have 3 guys right now that you could potentially get a really good return on, just like you did with Kyle Tucker, like they've done with Juan Soto, and such alike. The Braves have Spencer Strider tied up for a long time for very cheap. His deal is like 8 or 9 years at like $72 to $80 million up to $100 million. Very cheap. I was talking to Nathan about this earlier because he said, what about Strider? And I was like, dude, if we were to get McGonigal out of that, I obviously I'm not a GM, but I'd probably take that deal to retool because that guy could be the starter in 2 years. You could let Nick Allen play next year and let him develop in AA and AAA, and all of a sudden you've got your shortstop of the future because right now in the Brave system, they have arms. They've always had arms. Whatever they do, okay, hold on, time out. Breaking news. Clayton Kershaw, number 3,000. Number 3,000. He is officially a part of the 3,000 strikeout club. So, hats off to him. That's incredible. And we're not going to see that for God knows how long. Because there's nobody relatively close right now. It's Chris Sale and Garrett Cole, and that's it. Because nobody gave Zach Greinke a job. Man, that's crazy. Okay, anyway. Hats off to Kirsch. That's pretty cool. Anyway, so the Braves have done a great job as far as developing arms. They always have guys that come up out of nowhere and that seem to pitch well and thrive in the majors. You've had Schwellenbach. You've had A.J. Smith-Shawver. You've had Spencer Strider. You've had all these guys come up. However, when it comes to position players, besides Drake Baldwin, you haven't had anybody come up that's been great except Michael Harris, which was in 2022. So you went 2023 and 2024 with no guys come up that were really good, okay, or that could be competitive at the major league level. I would love to see them retool and get some position player depth. There's been some names floated around from other organizations like Jordan Lawler of the Diamondbacks and their organization. There's some other names floating around, but Lawler would be fantastic for them to go try and get. McGonigal would be incredible for them to go get. I would love to see them go get an outfielder as well for the sheer fact that next year you could let Ronnie DH some, and get some time off of his legs because now he's had both knees worked on, and that's hard for him. Now, granted, he has looked extremely healthy and extremely happy too this year, which is good. I really think that you probably try to move a starter if the goal is to retool the farm and to look for guys for the future. I have this crazy thought in my head that the Braves could try to trade Chris Sale back to the Red Sox and get one of their outfielders, like Abreu or Duran, or maybe not Roman Anthony, but something like that, for the sheer fact that they have a logjam in the outfield. I would love for them. I would love for the Braves to have Duran. That'd be fantastic because then all of a sudden, if they were to move Ozuna and Sale to the Red Sox, well, the Red Sox just got a DH, which they need, and they also need a starter, which they would get in Chris Sale. But then the Braves would also have an outfielder that could play every day, or could DH. I mean, if that was Wilyer Abreu, if it was Jarren Duran, that would be fantastic for the Braves. I don't think that they do that because they do love Chris Sale. Hell, I love Chris Sale. But we're at the point now where I really do think that they need to retool and just kind of kick the can towards 2026 and beyond. Also, too, with this year's draft, I'm so tired of them taking pitchers in the first round. I would really prefer them to go out and get the most athletic player that they can get. I don't care if it's a shortstop, an outfielder. Go get the most athletic dude that's left at the 22nd or 23rd pick, wherever you're at, and get a position player. Because more than likely, that dude's going to be like probably your number 2 or number 3 prospect right there. So those are kind of my suggestions. I don't think that they're a playoff team right now, especially with the way the offense has been. And also, too, Chris Sale is going to be out until the end of August. Spencer Schwellenbach, we got Profar back today, and they just added this little heater at the bottom of the announcement that said, oh, by the way, Spencer Schwellenbach fractured his right elbow. Didn't feel great after his last start. Turns out he's got a fractured elbow. Apparently it's a hairline. He's going to be shut down from throwing for 4 weeks. Okay, well, 4 weeks from now is the end of the month. Okay, so he's not going to be pitching again until probably the end of August like Sale. I would rather just shut both of them down for the rest of the year if necessary, and let's try it again next year. But that's kind of my Braves update. It looks very grim. However, I think that they can do some things to retool for next year and get better depth and better position players into the system, because right now the position players in the system suck. And the guys that they really need to develop have not developed at all. I mean, you can look organizationally at Gwinnett and Columbus and Rome and Augusta, and there's not a single position player right now that actually looks great. They all kind of suck, which is really disappointing, but it is what it is. Pitching. There's some arms down there, but there's nobody on the position player side that is really worth any value to me. But anyway, that's kind of my Braves update and where they're at. Is there anything else that we wanted to discuss tonight?
Yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and share, history with y'all. Clayton Kershaw's 3,000th strikeout. We got it on video right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen.
Nice.
Oh, that's a weird looking strikeout. Huh.
This is my favorite Clayton Kershaw moment.
Good stuff.
Joe, how many times did they
Congratulations. Oh, I don't know. I hope 4 or 5. Good stuff. Congratulations, Clayton Kershaw.
Man.
My hat goes off to you.
Just because I'm curious, between the big three of Kershaw, Scherzer, and Justin Verlander, do any of you have a preference on who you think the best is out of those three?
Scherzer.
Justin Verlander.
It's a very interesting topic.
I say Scherzer, and obviously 2 of them played for my team at the same time. I say Scherzer because he went to the Nats and put 20 on us in 15, I think it was. And I mean, Justin Verlander, obviously, he's a different beast. But where's his 20K game at?
I
If
think
we're
he had a
if we're
19 game with the Astros, but
Bro, 19 is not 20.
okay, kiss my ass.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
if we're just looking at if we're strictly looking at regular season, it could be Kershaw. If we're looking at the total package, the whole career, it's not Justin Verlander because he's not a postseason pitcher, especially in the World
Whoa,
Series.
whoa. Okay, hold on. Time out. I can understand. I can understand his World Series. You know, you ding him for his World Series performance, but every other round of the postseason, he is absolutely dominant. Are we forgetting the 2017 ALCS where he threw 9 innings in Game 2 and held the Yankees to I think 1 run? Are we forgetting about? If I'm not mistaken, I'm like, am I crazy? Am I going crazy? Are we forgetting like?
Do my fingers come apart easily here, Joe? Do you remember what was going on that year? A lot of
Because
sticky stuff.
was every other pitcher not doing that?
Oh, I'm not saying
is
that
every
they
other
weren't.
team not using cameras?
Okay, exactly. That's y'all are proving my point.
Listen, I never disproved that point. I never shit on the Astros for any of that because I knew every other team was doing that. And they caught the Red Sox doing it. They caught the Yankees doing it. But you know what? Rob Manfred came with a big, big broom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and you know what? Actually, this is something that we didn't talk about, but it's something that is, I think, relevant to this conversation. The Astros got fucking punished. If you want to sit there and say that the Astros didn't get punished, take a look at their farm system right now, and guess what? You can absolutely see that they got punished because not having your first or second round pick for 2 straight years has absolutely killed them when it comes to either trying to make trades or building up a farm system that had been depleted from year after year of trades. And guess what they have the ability to do now? If Hunter Brown and Cam Smith both win their respective Cy Young and Rookie of the Year awards, they will get an extra pick for both of those awards. Good job on the Astros. If they win, that would be chef's kiss because you know what? That would be absolute full circle redemption from the sign stealing scandal. I hope that happens. I pray that happens.
Well, I just went to look at Justin Verlander's postseason pitching for his career. Okay. Um, him and Max Scherzer are actually within like very minute percentage points of being. They're pretty much the same pitcher in the postseason. Like Justin Verlander is a 376 and Max Scherzer is a 378.
378.
Now,
Yeah.
Scherzer has an edge on him in the World Series, obviously, because Verlander has a
Yeah,
known,
that's fair.
pissing the better
Okay,
in the World Series.
okay. Oh, we're gonna talk about Verlander pissing the bed of the World Series, or we're not gonna talk about Clayton Kershaw pissing the bed in every single round of the postseason. Like, it doesn't matter if it's the CS, it doesn't matter if it's the NLCS, it doesn't matter if it's the World Series. He will find a way to piss the bed in either one of those rounds.
Jarvis, pull up Clayton Kershaw's playoff stats. Yeah, he's really bad. It's worse than I thought it was gonna be. Holy shit! Wow.
So
He's like a 4.5 ERA for his career in the postseason.
you could knock Justin Verlander for the World Series, but he is not a bedwetter when it comes to the first 2 rounds of the postseason. I'm sorry, you're not gonna sneak that by me. I've seen it.
Let's look at something here. Let's look at who probably should be included in this group, but never gets included in this group because he doesn't have K numbers, and that's Zach Greinke. So Zach Greinke in the postseason for his career has a 4.14 ERA for his career.
I was gonna say I don't think it's really good.
It's not great, but he has 2 World Series appearances where he took a loss. No, I'm sorry, he had no decisions in both. Where he's pitched in 3 games, had 3 starts in the World Series, and has a 1.80 ERA, which that's pretty impressive. He's thrown 15 innings and given up only 3 runs total. Like, out of those 4, I'm gonna pick Greinke to start a Game 7.
Well, the Astros did, and that didn't end up very well. So
It wasn't
thanks,
his
AJ
fault though.
Hatch. Thanks, AJ Hatch. Hope
Well,
that
I
happens
had
to
this
you too,
discussion the other
buddy.
day, Joe, that really and truly, you know whose fault the 2019 World Series was?
George Springer's. It was
George
George
Springer.
Springer's.
Yep, George Springer. But people don't want to talk about that because they love George Springer. But
Only he
we all
ran out of the
remember when he hit the
box.
ball off the wall and he didn't hustle and he should have been on third. And Jose Altuve hit a fly ball that should have scored him, but it didn't.
Yep.
You know.
I remember that. I was so mad. I was so mad. I was there. I was so mad.
Yeah.
Can I just say real quick, like, okay, the 2 games that Verlander lost in the World Series, well, I think one he got a no decision in. Actually, I don't think. I know he got a no decision in. And then the second, he might have. I think he took the L in this one. It was. Oh, no, that's the wrong game. That is the wrong game. It was game 2. Oh, wait, no, this is the right game. It was game 2 where he gave up, I think, 1 run. And then got the no decision, or gave up 3 runs and got the no decision. Let's see. Yeah, he gave up 3 runs in how many in 6 innings pitched, and then in game 6 he gave up, I believe, 1 run. And here, let me find it real quick. It's all the way down here. He gave up 1 run in 6 innings pitched, and he got the loss there. Like, those are 2 games where he gave up 3 and 1 runs and took a no decision and a loss. Like, his team, like, the Astros just didn't give him run support in the 2017 World Series. He should have had his first win all the way back then. But